Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right into this. Your textbook probably says country X has a high per capita income, so it must be an absolute paradise, right? Well, actually, wrong. Today, we're going to expose why the idea that a high average income equals a perfect, wealthy country is basically a massive illusion.
Think about it. By simply dividing a country's total national income by its population, we get an average. It seems like incredibly straightforward math, right? But we really need to ask ourselves what crucial realities that simple average is hiding, because it turns out per capita income covers up some massive economic red flags. Let's break down the 7 distinct realities that this metric completely ignores.
Let's start with myth number 1, output equals welfare, and why the composition of that output actually matters.
When you're evaluating a nation's well-being, what a country actually produces matters immensely. Imagine 2 fictional countries side by side. Country A is pumping out millions of dollars worth of fresh civilian goods, schools, and hospitals. Country B is producing millions of dollars worth of military tanks, missiles, and armaments. Here's the crazy part. Per capita income treats these two exactly the same. It totally ignores that producing military weapons instead of civilian goods does not equal better economic welfare for the people. It literally doesn't care what you make, just the total dollar value.
Moving right along, let's tackle myths 2 and 3, wealth and poverty.
So per capita income is entirely blind to who actually holds the money. Just picture this extreme reality. On one side, you have a single billionaire buying a mega yacht. On the other side, 99 citizens sharing a single loaf of bread. If that handful of rich people sees their wealth skyrocket, the entire country's average income shoots up. The stats look absolutely amazing on paper, completely masking the fact that the vast majority of the population remains incredibly poor. Unless there's a reduction in income inequality, the actual economic welfare of the people hasn't increased at all.
And this inequality leads to a really devastating paradox. A country's per capita income can be rising at the exact same time the number of people falling below the poverty line is increasing. A rising average standard of living on paper can totally hide the terrifying reality of real people slipping into poverty. And sadly, this is exactly what we've seen happen in many developing countries recently. Okay, that brings us to myths 4 and 5, the true costs ignored and the things this metric misses entirely.
We know averages lie about who has the money, but what about the invisible costs? Per capita income counts the money made from output, say a factory clear-cutting a beautiful forest. But it makes absolutely zero allowance for the damage done. It subtracts 0 points for ruthless resource depletion, rampant pollution, or laborers forced to work in unhygienic conditions. From a true development standpoint, how the output is attained really matters, but this metric literally rewards destruction without accounting for the toll it takes. And it gets even more perplexing. Think about a mother cooking an incredible dinner, taking care of children, and keeping a household running perfectly. If you hire a private chef, their paycheck counts toward the national income. But because these essential everyday services are done out of love and affection, they are valued at literally $0 by this metric. Per capita income completely ignores the unpaid labor that is absolutely foundational to our society and economic welfare.
Next up is myth 6, beyond the bank account.
True economic development isn't just about a bigger national bank account. Relying solely on average income leaves out some truly vital dimensions. Imagine checking a box for high income, but then realizing your society is suffering from ignored social issues, poor human factors, and totally broken institutions. A country needs social, human, and institutional growth to actually develop. A single dollar figure just doesn't tell us if the institutions protecting the citizens are functioning.
Finally, we have myth 7, the comparison trap. Using this single number to rank entirely different countries brings up massive logistical flaws. Trying to use per capita income to compare the standard of living, the level of economic welfare, and the growth rate between nations with different currencies, different internal economies, and unique populations, it's literally like comparing apples to oranges. With so many varying factors, using one average to rank who is doing better is highly flawed and paints a very inaccurate picture of global development.
Because the average income metric leaves us completely in the dark on these 7 massive points, economists knew they needed a better tool. Enter the superhero upgrade, the Human Development Index. The Human Development Index, or HDI, is the exact upgrade we needed. It's a single composite measure capturing 3 key dimensions of human development: a long and healthy life, access to knowledge, and a decent standard of living. The crucial point here is that HDI actually emphasizes the quality of life, moving far beyond those purely quantitative dollar sign aspects we just tore apart.
HDI beautifully combines three vital indicators into one comprehensive picture of welfare. First, it looks at life expectancy, so how many years a newly born baby is expected to live. Second is educational attainment, tracking things like adult literacy and school enrollment. And third, it does keep a standard of living indicator using real GDP per capita, but it perfectly balances out that money with the health and education data.
And calculating it is a brilliant, structured process. First, you set the goalposts by finding the minimum and maximum values for an indicator. Then you find the achievement level. For example, if a country's actual life expectancy is 65 years and the max-min scale is 80 and 20, you do the math. 65 minus 20 divided by 80 minus 20. That gives us an index score of 0.75. You just do this for all three components and then take the simple average. It's an elegant solution that captures a much truer picture of a nation's health.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought. When evaluating a country's success, are we measuring the wealth of a nation or the well-being of its people? Shouldn't we focus on the true quality of human life rather than just a misleading average? A nation's wealth on paper means absolutely nothing if it doesn't translate to a long, healthy, and educated life for its citizens. Think about that the next time you see a country boasting about its high average income. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the numbers, and I'll catch you next time.